Good morning, Gretchen. Thank you so much for your time today.
Morning, Lisa. Thank you for inviting me.
I can't wait to interview you because you have such a phenomenal background as a preschool teacher and also music, which we all love. And I can't wait to see more of what you're doing. But I must tell you this. What you have done so far is quite impressive. And I was taking a look at the brochures and some of the copy and things that you've created to promote some of your classes. We're going to get to that in a few minutes, but all in all, you have gotten a very fast start and you have actually just put it out there and you've kept it moving, and that's what it's all about. How did you come upon Manners to Go?
Honestly, for the past several years, probably 5 years, I have been on and off searching manners and etiquette training online.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, I just search it every now and then. I was always interested in it. And I found Manners to Go during one of my searches in the past, I would say in the past 2 years. I started seeing your company, and that was how I was just 100% online.
Oh, good, good. Well, that's the way we operate now. That
Right.
we want to find something, we research it online, no
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
You made a decision to move forward and you acted upon it. Tell us more.
Okay, so I work as an early childhood educator at a park district. So it's a community center, and it serves a small community here in the Chicagoland area.
Mhm.
And they have events. So I've worked there for the past 3 years. Prior to that, I had already begun my search on manners and etiquette. So it was always in my mind. It was always in my mind, in addition to teaching music and being a musician.
Mhm.
And one of my supervisors had an event that she was going to put in the brochure, and she wanted one of the preschool teachers to do an etiquette class for a group of young girls.
Mhm.
And so that was basically the inspiration to finally go ahead and call you and get trained, because it was just worked out so well. I had always been thinking about it. I had been researching it. And then it was through my preschool teaching. And I feel that the manners and etiquette training, because it is focused for children, it just made sense. It was like continuing education or professional development for my career, which is mostly working with children and teaching children.
Sure. Well, it's so important to start early, especially with this subject matter.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yes. You had a very fast start and successful events. Tell us how you did this. Like I said, you sent an email with some of the copy and artwork and layouts you've done to promote your classes. Very well done. How did you get, what did you do to get this started?
Okay, so I do want to preface everything by saying, and this is a silly preschool thing I'm about to say, but sometimes first is the worst, second is the best, and third is the one with the treasure chest. So,
Yes.
but what I'm trying to say is that it's a learning curve. When you
Mhm.
do marketing materials, there's a learning curve. And if you don't have to go through the learning curve, I applaud you, because there's probably some of us that don't have to do that. I did.
Yeah.
But I did some marketing materials. This is not the first one I did. This is the second one I did. I did it very inexpensively online again.
Hmm.
In future marketing materials, I may get a personal relationship with a local printer. I'm not sure. I like how these turned out the second
Hmm.
time around. Honestly, part of the learning curve was realizing that some of the images that I had on my marketing material, the way it looked when I ordered it online was much brighter. And then I got them and it was much darker. So I had to go in the second time through and I had to adjust on my end and hope for the best. Luckily, these were not costly mistakes that I made. so I could do it a second time around. I still have the first brochures that I did though. I still have them because they're usable. I just like these better. And
Good.
then like even this is a logo. My first logo did not look like this. I experimented. First was not the best. That's all I'm saying. And that this one I like much better. And I used this on one of the events. And I actually had, after that event that I did at the Park District, one of the girls' grandparents called me. And she called me because she saw this. So it was wonderful. And I had a wonderful conversation with her. Another thing that I did with these marketing materials was I purchased some parchment paper, and I have a lot of qualifications to teach children, including I've been background checked and fingerprinted, and I know CPR for my job and everything. So I did something in a kind of a calligraphy font and, qualifications for working with children. And I placed it inside of this. So the establishments that I sent this to, when they opened it up, instead of it being a bio of me, and it was somewhat of a bio, but it was very like bullet point, my qualifications for working with children, because that's important.
It is.
And I have a lot of qualifications that I'm proud of. So I included that in there. So, but as I said, there is a learning curve. And I really think that everyone just has to be okay with the learning curve.
Absolutely. We talked earlier about perfection, and it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, I just wrote an article about this. It doesn't have to be perfect to get going. And like you said, it's just, you learn as you go along, you put it out there, and it's amazing how easy it is nowadays with all these online options. And they're affordable. They'll even find a graphic designer to you if you want that. Many of us do it on our own. It's amazing what's out there at a relatively low cost to get started. And the quality is usually really good.
Yes, and I want to thank you, Lisa, because you were one of the ones that referred these online printing sources. And that was very helpful, because who knows how long it would have taken me to find those on my own. And that was one of the wonderful things about working with you.
Great, great. Yes, we're happy to share resources. What excites you most about teaching manners to this age group and to all ages? I mean, you're just not focusing on preschool. I know that's your background, but you're certified to teach all the way up through high school and of course at the college level. But what excites you most about teaching the youth of today?
I think with technology, things are very impulsive nowadays. Things are kind of like act fast. It's like when you have to create content and you're very impulsive, it's more of an impulsive society that we live in with technology. And I feel like things like taking music lessons, especially classical training, dance lessons, especially classical training, culinary lessons, which is classical cooking, and manners and etiquette, it slows everything down. Like, I feel like technology is wonderful, but it's just one aspect. And children nowadays, I mean, Generation Z, which is my children, I mean, even Generation Z, they grow up with phones. They grow up with iPads, which is wonderful. But the thing that excites me about this is just it's a slower, it's systematic, it's processing, it's just slowing down. It's about community. It encourages family. It's just wonderful things that children, I think, are enriched by, and that stays with them, hopefully, then as they grow into adults, and those memories stay with them. And I think it's just good to encourage that and promote that for kids.
I love everything you just said. It's so true. It's about community. Last week, I attended a book club, and it was all women of all ages. And we started talking about the lack of community and how everyone is so hungry for it. And I know children are the same way. And like you said, this is great. What you said is great. The arts, culinary, all of that takes it takes time. and
Yeah.
it's slowing things down. And I know as a child, my fondest memory happens to be the meals that we had together. It was that family time around the table.
Yes.
I think, getting children involved in the cooking part of it, something outside of technology, they can still learn. They learn
Yeah.
about measurements. They learn about patience. So there's so much that you can do with teachable moments with just everyday life, and putting aside all of this.
Right. And it causes you to have to really like have steps in order to do things. And then it can also encourage like thinking ahead, like, okay, if I miss this step, then what about this step? It encourages thoughtfulness.
Hmm.
And it's about family and community.
It
And I
really,
think we need more thoughtfulness in society.
all ages,
Right.
all ages. What would you tell your 21-year-old self? What advice would you give?
Well, honestly, I don't know if I would have taken the advice because I would have been 21.
I know,
No,
it's so true.
because when we're 21, we think we know everything. So
We
I
do.
don't know. But I think what I would tell my 21-year-old self is to, like what I was just saying just now. I'm Generation X, and maybe we weren't the most thoughtful either during those early years. To be more thoughtful, to wait a little more before you say things, not be as impulsive, think of others, and also be easy on yourself too, because we're not fully developed until about the age of 25 anyway.
Mhm.
We're still kids. So I think that's what I would do. But like I said, I probably wouldn't take the advice because I'd be a 21-year-old.
21-year-old. I know. I didn't like to be told back then either. Who would you like to invite to your afternoon tea? I always like to ask this question.
Oh, okay. So I'm glad you asked that. I Part of the reason also that I decided to go into manners and etiquette, my great grandmother had, and I don't know if these will show up well. I will try. She had a collection
Oh, wow. I
of
can see
cups
them.
and
Yes.
saucers.
They're beautiful.
They're just beautiful. They have like gold. I don't know if back then it was gold paint. I don't know how they did the gold metallic
Mhm.
um, etching on them. She also had a collection of depression glass.
Yes, beautiful.
Um, and so I used to spend a lot of my visits at her home just staring at her collection.
Mhm.
And so I would have tea with her.
Oh, yes,
And
great memory. See, there's a
yeah,
memory.
and the thing I love too about it is I would go to her house and she would have the collection of cups and saucers, and there was all of this depression glass that now my parents have at
Mhm.
their home. And she had candy dishes with like the ribbon candy. And
Mhm.
I just remember just feeling so taken care of, like whenever I would go to her home. And she did that all by herself. And she wasn't in a higher income bracket. I mean, depression glass was given away for free. People buy it at flea markets. It's very collectible, but
Mhm.
it's not very expensive. And I just remember feeling so held and so loved
Right.
just in her home.
It's all in the details.
Right. It was like
I know
hospitality
exactly when you say the ribbon candy. I know
yeah.
exactly. My mother and grandmother used to have that in little dishes.
And little candy dishes set
Mhm.
out in certain areas of their home, and just very warm environment, very supported. You feel held. I just loved that. So I would be with her.
I know. Sounds like great memories. How did you get over the fear of the unknown of starting a business?
Well, that was easy because I am a musician.
Mhm.
And so my entire adulthood career has has been that. And the positive side to that, the pleasant side to that is you usually end up doing what you love.
Mm-hmm.
So
So isn't it the truth? They say we know what we want to do when we're 4, 5, and 6, and I really believe that.